All right, here we go. Tuesday, February 4th. We got 11 minutes left. Here's the position for today. This trade started off as a lukma, no hands, as it usually does. And then I converted it into a profit bomb there somewhere along the way. And right now, with 11 minutes left, here's our position. This is a can't lose trade, so it's totally risk free. No matter what I'm going to make. Well, worst case scenario, I'll make like $800 or so in that range, 800 to 900, I think, right there at the little valley, right where it's hanging out right now. Isn't that weird how the SPX knows right where I'll make the least amount of money, and that's where it moves to, just out of spite. I guess, but we do have like 10 minutes for it to go either way. But let's test Murphy's Law, see if Murphy's Law is real, and if it lands right there at the worst possible spot. But again, the worst possible spot is still a win of like 800 bean burritos, so that's fine. I'll take it. I'll effing take it. But if we veer off here in the next 10 minutes, I could make up to over 1,000 either way. So it's like a floating straddle. So let's take this thing into the close. And as we do, I'm really into UFOs, in case you didn't know. I'm like obsessed with them. I've never seen one. Gosh darn it. But I want to. And there's a lot of UFO stuff going on. Last week, there's this guy, this military dude who actually recovered UFOs, or so he claims. I mean, they did a lot of background checks on him, so I think he's legit and everything. And he came out and he gave his firsthand testimony of actually picking up and moving, transporting a real UFO. They call them UAPs now, but it's a UFO. It's like a non-human intelligence vehicle. So I'm going to put that on, if I can find it. Where did that go? Like a little interview he was doing. I'll leave a link to the full interview in the description below. It's really super interesting if you're into that stuff. Here it is. His name is Jake Barber. And we'll just watch him as we go into the close. See if he can help us get out of this canyon. Come on, look at this. It's just hovering right there at the worst possible spot with 8 minutes left. Are you for real? Anyway, let's listen to Jake Barber, see if he can do any good for us. So this is the guy right here. He's like he has a long military career, and I think he explains it here, but he explains also like the object that he picked up.
Like we understand the idea of a paramedic sitting over here in an ambulance waiting for a call who specializes in emergency medical response. It's like we're not sitting there as a crash recovery team with our little CR patch on our chest and our little alien dice hanging from the rearview mirror of the helicopter. We're ready to roll when the alien phone rings. Crash. No, it's like we're doing other shit, and like we're gonna go out and we do a lot of recovery. It's not just exotic craft. We recover all kinds of things. When a call would come in, typically it meant we were going out to what I call the range, which is in the desert of California, and we would be there to support from a security and transportation standpoint the operations out there. The range was a giant playground for Department of Defense and its private aerospace partners for testing weapons technology, radar technology, experimental craft, and that craft's resilience to radar and weapons technology and vice versa. It was during this work when I'm here to talk about two different experiences with exotic craft that was non-human in origin. And it was during some of this time out on the range when I had these experiences. The first experience I'm going to talk about is when we recovered an egg, and we just call it the egg because that's what it was. It's like a giant white egg. The night that this happened, we weren't expecting an egg. I wasn't briefed on an egg. When this happened, it was a surprise to everyone. I can tell you within not only my leadership structure, which is most concerning when they're surprised, but also everyone around me on my team. When this happened, we had to go. altered our communication protocol, we altered our security protocol, and it was obvious to everyone that what we were dealing with was something extraordinary. My job that night was as a helicopter pilot. I was not on the ground. I was called in to transport that egg via external load, what we call external load, or through a long line, which is 150 foot, sometimes 200 foot long line that hangs below the helicopter. It has a remote hook on it. That remote hook can be attached to hardware that secures the load. And then we fly that load away to a drop point. And from there, it goes wherever it's going to go on a secured transport.
Did you see this egg?
I saw it. Absolutely.
What did it look like?
It's probably 20 feet plus or minus, I don't know, 10%. From my point of view, I was 150 feet from it, had a 150 foot long line that night.
What's that jerk
right
doing
over
there?
It, hooked up to it. It looked like a giant.
20 feet longitudinally?
Yeah, 20 feet longitudinally. Spherical with a little bit of an asymmetrical three-dimensional rounding shape to it. It's like a pearly white. It's like, I don't know if it was wet or moist, but it wasn't like flat white. It was like pearly white. Granted, this is at...
I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to see if I have something I could do here. I'm going to see if it's going to help me at all. If I were to do this, does that help me? Not really. That doesn't help me. All right, so it looks like we're getting a little bit of move up here. I want more than that, though. Come on. Don't let me down. I want to get 1,500. Let's shoot for 1,500 bucks. It's so weird how it just always finds my sore spot. And it just teases me. It just out of spite will go right to it and just say, ha, you're not making any money. No, you're going to make the least amount possible, dude. Jerks, those market makers. All right, let's get back to Jake.
At night at this point, it was after civil twilight, so it's dark. I'm flying under NVGs, but there was enough lunar illumination that I could see it with the naked eye.
What's an NVG?
Night vision goggle. So it's an enhanced
Our countdown clock has started. We got 2 minutes, 55 seconds.
System that takes into account IR light.
But you could see it outside.
I could see it. I could flip my goggles up and see it, flip my goggles down and see it. It was secured with nets, basically.
It was secured with nets.
Nets.
And somebody wrapped nets around it? Somebody on your team?
Yeah, someone on the ground team.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did they sort of touch the craft while they were wrapping nets
The team
around
there
it?
must have touched it, yeah.
And did they experience any effects? Did they
Not
say
that
what
I know of. I didn't talk much. It was compartmentalization on steroids that night. So I didn't debrief with the ground crew much. There's a few guys on the ground crew that we've talked to since, but a lot of the details of everyone's experience, weren't shared necessarily.
Any other core details about the craft, the weight, any symbology on it?
No, I mean, it was smooth, seamless, no symbology. I could tell you it was less than 5,000 pounds because that was the capacity of my helicopter at that time. I don't remember exactly what it weighed. When we fly in to recover a load or to pick, we use the term pick, which is I'm going to connect and haul something off no matter what it is. I get a briefing on the way in as to what my load is going to be. I get disclosed its approximate weight, dimensions, and then I get a hazmat disclosure as to whether or not there's any hazmat on board or if there are any souls on board, which is life forms. That night, there was no disclosure for hazmat or souls on board, or what we call SOBs, souls on board. And
SOB.
It was just
we got 1 minute left.
And, took it to a drop point, which was about 15 miles away, and set it down very carefully, and it was hauled off somewhere, and that was the end of it.
Why do you think it landed on a human flight testing range? I could see a skeptic in the audience saying, oh, awfully convenient
Yeah.
that you're landing right next to wherever you guys are operating.
Yeah, well, it wasn't next. It actually went off the range, which was added to
Okay.
part of our challenge. And I can't tell you where it landed, but it was tracked and intercepted over the range. And by the time it finally interfaced with the ground, it was off the playground, which complicated our recovery.
Would another possible answer to that be that UAPs are attracted to sensitive military sites?
We know exactly what they're attracted to, and we intentionally attract them. And when I say we,
Okay, so that's enough of Jake. So there's the bell. Let's see where we wound up in this thing. Up a little bit on that slope. So it wasn't the worst case scenario, but still, come on, you guys. You can do better than that. I'm disappointed in you. Okay, so there we go. That's the bell. Let's see where we wound up. So it's bouncing around a little bit. Let me, let's see, 1500-ish. Let me lock off these hedges real quick. And we wound up with 1407. 1,407 bean burritos. I'll take it. Yeah, so with the hedges off, you can see our worst case scenario moved up to 1120. We had all this ramp, though. We could have been up to $4,000 there if you guys would have had your act together. Market makers. Almost $5,000 up there. All right, so the final for today is 1,407 bean burritos. All right, that's it for this one. If you'd like to follow along with me with these trades and a bunch of other trades just like them, just make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button below. Also, join us. Join our little club of merry option traders. And to do that, just go over to my website. I'll leave a link to my website in the description below. Head on over there, sign up for the free email newsletter. As soon as you do that, you'll get a welcome email sent out to you. Just reply back to that welcome email and say something like, hey, I'd like to join your merry band of option income traders. I'll get back to you and we'll go from there. All right, that's it for this one. I'll see you tomorrow.